The Office of the Prime Minister Press Office is the primary liaison between the Fourth Estate and the Office of the Prime Minister and Cabinet.
Every day, we are working to build a more inclusive economy and a stronger, safer country.
Hear all of the latest developments as the Davis administration carries out the broad mandate of progress and change. Our live weekly press briefings provide full access to current newsmakers on the most topical issues of the day. We facilitate prompt responses from cabinet ministers on the latest reports and get answers on the issues that matter to you.
Will any penalties be levied against the
OPM Press Now, keeping you in the know. So much for joining us for our weekly press briefing. We want to say welcome to those watching on television and online, and thank you so much to the members of the media, and of course our special guest this morning from the Water and Sewage Corporation. We're very pleased to be joined by the team from Water and Sewage, led by the General Manager, Mr. Robert Deal. We know that recently the Water and Sewage Corporation has benefited from IDB funding, which will mean progress on a lot of spheres related to water distribution in the country. We'd like to welcome Mr. Deal now to discuss the implications of that and other progress being made at the corporation and updates. Mr. Deal, welcome.
A very pleasant good morning, Ms. Adley, and of course, members of the Water and Sewage team, members of the press, and those who are joining us online. On behalf of the Water and Sewage Corporation, we wish to give a brief update as to recent developments, and of course, we'll then open the floor for questions from the media. As Ms. Adley mentioned, earlier this week on Monday, the corporation, along with the government of the Bahamas, signed 2 agreements with the Inter-American Development Bank. One was a $100 million conditional line of credit that will facilitate expansion of infrastructural and upgrades of water and sanitation infrastructural systems across the Bahamas. And the other agreement was an immediate $50 million loan. The idea is that we will have this first $50 million loan, and once we get that started, and that's effectively underway, we anticipate that in short order, perhaps in another 24 months approximately, we'll sign a further loan agreement for a further $50 million to utilize the full $100 million. But as indicated, the first $50 million loan agreement has been signed, and so we are now working with the IDB regarding the conditions that have to be met before the first disbursement can be done, and we expect that that will be done in short order. Beyond the IDB loan, we have a series of projects that the corporation has underway, or is planning and expect to get underway in short order to continue to not only expand our water and sanitation services across the Bahamas, but also to upgrade and strengthen existing systems. In the Abacos, we have made substantial progress, and essentially we are now complete with our post-Dorian works, but we do have some limited works ongoing, particularly on the offshore islands of Moores Island, and Grand Key, working on those systems there to ensure that the residents, their water supply is received on a 24/7 basis, and some infrastructural needs are being addressed. In Eleuthera, we have major works undergoing. As you know, we've had challenges over the last year plus, and we have made some progress in improving the robustness of that system, but there's still more that we want to get done, and so those works are well underway, and we are happy with what we're seeing. But as again, I'll state that there's more to be done in Eleuthera to improve that system, and as part of the ongoing road paving PPP project in Eleuthera, there's going to be major transmission and distribution system improvement works all across the island of Eleuthera to improve that network. In Cat Island, also in conjunction with the ongoing road paving PPP project, there's a major water transmission and distribution system project underway. Some $30+ million worth of water transmission and distribution mains are in progress, and those are progressing very well. In total, it's going to be over 95 miles of new water mains installed to supply about 1,100 businesses and customers. We also have 2 desalination plants that have been awarded, and those are underway. And we expect that the first one, there are 1 or 2 slight challenges we're experiencing, but we expect that by summer, the first desalination plant will be near to completion, and later this year, the second one will be completed, and those will bring high quality potable water to the residents of Cat Island. On Exuma, we also have in excess of $10 million worth of works ongoing and nearing completion. We have completed a major project to expand water mains to the areas of Barataria primarily on that part of Exuma. That system is complete, and we've now started installing the meters for those customers. We would estimate about 150 customers would be receiving pipe water supply for the first time in the Barataria area. And so that, we're very happy with that. And on the next side of Exuma, Little Exuma, we extending our system throughout all of Little Exuma. That's going to pick up over 500 additional customers for the first time who would be receiving pipe water supply. And that project is about 85% completed. And we expect that in short order, that project will be completed. Also, as part of and in advance of road paving in Exuma, we're also completing major works in the Georgetown area, and that project is going on very well. We have some other works planned for islands like Long Island. We also recently got government approval to put in a new desalination plant for the residents of North Acklands. That's the community, the residents of Chesters and Lovely Bay. They've been complaining about their water quality for quite a while, and so we have now received government approval to proceed with that project. So the desalination plant has been ordered, and other works to facilitate that project is well underway. But all across the Bahamas, we have works ongoing in Bimini, in the Berry Islands, works are planned. And of course, one of the components, principal components of the IDB project, we have several main components. One is it includes a major Family Island non-revenue water project. As many of you would know, the non-revenue water project here in New Providence has been very successful in helping us to reduce losses, improve our financial viability. And so we expect to do the same thing in the Family Islands, particularly on the major islands that depend heavily on desalinated water supply, islands like Exuma, Eleuthera, and even Abaco, that while it depends on a groundwater supply, is still a heavy water user. And so we want to ensure that our well fields in Abaco remain sustainable. And one of the best ways to ensure that sustainability is to ensure that the water that is produced is effectively and efficiently utilized. So non-revenue water is a major part of the IDB project. Another component of the IDB project, and something we're very happy about and excited about, is automatic or smart meters. We have already started the project in advance of the IDB project, but the funding from IDB will help us to pick up the pace and bring it to conclusion. But the goal is to, by mid to late next year, to have changed all of our customer meters across the Bahamas, some 65,000 plus, to smart meters. The first 5,000 meters are already here, and they are being installed now. A further 5,000 should be here by February, and we expect by the end of this year, up to about another 30,000 will arrive. So we'll effectively have major meter changes here in New Providence and in the Family Islands. And the primary goal for this smart meter program is to improve our customer experience and to help us move to monthly billing. Many of you would know that customers have some challenges with our ongoing quarterly billing system. It's a historical or legacy issue, but all of the other utilities have moved quite a while now to monthly billing. And many of our customers struggle with trying to remember when their quarterly bill is due, what period it covers, what period it doesn't cover. And then another issue we found with quarterly billing is that if you develop a leak within your house, and many times you don't realize that you have a leak until you get the bill. The leak has been running for 3 months, and now it creates a challenge with the customer and water and sewage to how best to resolve that matter. And so the smart meters will help us move to monthly billing, but another key component is that smart meters also come with an alarm system. So if you have continuous flow in your house, which means that you have a possible leak, it will send an alarm to us and to the customer, and we are very excited and happy with that, and we believe that that will go far. Beyond the smart meters and non-revenue water, another principal component of the IDB project is increasing access to piped water supply. Unfortunately, we still have some pockets of New Providence who don't have pipe water supply, and so the idea is to address those communities. And in the Family Islands, we have pockets in Abaco, Eleuthera, and a variety of islands where there's no pipe water supply. And so the goal is to increase the access to pipe water supply. The government has given us a mandate to ensure that every Bahamian, no matter where they are, have access to high-quality piped water supply, and it's our objective to ensure that that is achieved. But let me stop now and perhaps invite some questions from the media.
Good morning. Lloyd Allen, ZNS News. So you spoke about improvements across the islands in terms of, for example, Acklins. What about the other side of Acklins, like Salina Point? Are upgrades also set for areas like that? The second part of the question, you spoke about the smart meters.
Yeah.
Eventually, about 40,000 would be set here in New Providence. Responding to a lot of those needs, in terms of onboarding customers, is there any major bits of knowledge that people would need to know for that?
Okay, so let me address the first part with respect to Salina Point. Salina Point already has a distribution system that would have been installed, I think, probably about 20 years now, and it has desalinated water supply. So Chester's, Lovely Bay, and that's what is driving it. As you know, when we go to any island in the Bahamas and you install desalinated water supply in one part of it, then it drives, obviously, customer demand, residents' demand for improved water supply. So quite a few years ago, the desalination plants were installed in Chester's, and there's also, I think we have another plant in Snug Corner on Masons Bay that supplies that community. And so the next large community on Acklins without desalinated water supply now is the northern part of Chester's and Lovely Bay. And so the idea is to get to them. And some of the smaller communities, the corporation continues to deliver tankered water supply to them. With respect to customers, yes, you will see as we go forward, we will be launching a marketing program to encourage persons who are on private wells to consider returning to the corporation. Many of those customers are persons who may have left our supply years ago for a variety of reasons. One reason is they had a high bill and they were unable to negotiate that with us, so we want to work out those issues with them. Also, 20, 30 years ago here in New Providence, we had some issues with water quality from a salinity perspective when we heavily depended on groundwater supply. That's something that's been addressed many years now as we move to desalinated water supply, and so welcoming those customers back as well. And also public education, emphasizing and trying to encourage persons to be aware that the groundwater supply that you may have at your private well, while it may appear clear in appearance, and it may not have a particular smell, so using your, I guess, human senses, you determine that it appears okay. But we did as part of this IDB project, and just looking at what's going on locally, we did a study last year of over 400 private wells in New Providence. And these are not private wells in shanty towns or, some obscure locations. These are private wells where there's piped water supply running across the front of the property. We did 400 plus, and of that 400 plus, I think over 90% were contaminated. So, we want to assist people with that public education, and particularly homes where you have children, we have older persons, people who have, any immune deficiency diseases. They should be very concerned with the use of private wells. And part of this IDB program is also going to be working with the government to improve the regulations that govern the water and sanitation sector as well, because the Water and Sewage Act was put in place in 1976, and since then, there's been very little updating, but we have a much more modern society, much more cosmopolitan city here in New Providence, and it needs to be brought into the modern era, particularly with respect to the governance of water and sanitation.
Sorry, about that regulation, you were saying that, I guess it's being thought of, would you, expand a little bit, what's been discussed with WSC with regards to particularly what they want to see modernized?
Well, obviously, there will have to be a lot of public consultation with the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, the Ministry of Works, the Department of Environmental Health Services, and all of the government agencies that deal with the water and sanitation sector. There will have to be consultation with the government itself, and of course, most importantly, with members of the public as to, what do we want in a modern Bahamas with respect to water and sanitation. So we are only now in the early stages, but the idea is there will have to be much public consultation before any legislation can be properly drafted and presented.
And one important question, sorry. I'm sure the public is aware of an ongoing drought that we're experiencing. What is your response to that?
Well, the Bahamas, every year we have what we call a dry season and a wet season. The wet season starts around April or May and it runs until roughly about October or November. And then, we currently in what we call a dry season. During the dry season, water demand picks up. We have a lot of users who, they don't only just use water for internal purposes, but they use it for landscaping. Also people with swimming pools. You'll find if you have a pool, the evaporation rate picks up during this time because there's no water coming into the pool. A lot of water is being evaporated off. And so we try to encourage customers to use water as conservatively as possible, to protect the resource because it is limited. I know some persons believe that because it's desalinated, water supply is endless, but the reality is our desalination plants have a certain capacity. And so we try to ensure that we manage the supply as best as possible. Also, as you know, the corporation has a very active non-revenue water program here in New Providence. And as I spoke to earlier, the idea is to expand that to the farmlands as well. So we want to encourage any customer who's aware of any leakage on our system anywhere to please call us and report it so we could promptly address it because addressing our leakage is critical to us as well.
What do your levels look like now?
Generally, I think the most recent updates, they are pretty good. I think I saw some levels this morning. Blue Hills tanks are in the 20s, and the ones in the Windsor areas, they're in the 30s. We generally like them to be as full as possible, so bring them all up to the high 30s. But we are in constant dialogue with our desalination companies, both here in New Providence and in the farmlands, ensuring that they're addressing maintenance issues and any other concerns to maximize production to meet the customer demand. Another thing we're facing, I'm sure our sister company BPL has seen it, and we have seen it as well. There's been a real spike in demand coming out of COVID-19. And there's, we're seeing the pickup in water sales, both here in New Providence and in the farmlands, and particularly islands like Exuma and Eleuthera that have high Airbnb demand. They are, it's amazing when you look at the pace of or the demand for water growth, particularly on islands like Exuma. Obviously, persons who are staying with Airbnbs, they use water at a much higher rate with pools, showering, etc. as they go back and forth to the beaches, fishing, whatever. But we're really seeing that high demand. So all over Exuma, but particularly in Eleuthera and central Eleuthera, North Eleuthera, Harbor Island, Spanish Wells, we've really seen an uptick in water demand coming out of COVID-19. We believe is due to economic activity and even across the Abacos as well.
What's a realistic timeline for officials to get this water issue in Eleuthera sorted out? Because that seems to be a vexing issue for those residents. They feel as though there's no end in sight for water woes.
Well, we have a variety of things we are addressing, and each location is different. As you may be aware, we have about we have 4 larger desalination plants in Eleuthera, one in Waterford that supplies what we call the deep south of Eleuthera. We have another plant in Tarpon Bay that supplies the Roxar and Tarpon Bay area. We have a plant at the naval base that supplies central Eleuthera, and then we have another plant at the Bogue that supplies North Eleuthera, but also Spanish Wells and Harbor Island. So we're working actively with the regarding those desalination plants and what needs to be done with respect to those. But we're also working on our side with respect to infrastructural improvements. So take Harbor Island, for example. We would have, a year or two ago, we had a leaky tank in Harbor Island that was a real challenge. The corporation has issued a contract for 2 new storage tanks for Harbor Island. The first one has been completed, and that's now in operation. So that leaky tank had a capacity of about 200,000 gallons, but that was leaking a lot of water. That has been demolished, and we're now building a second tank at that site. So when we finish, we'll be up to about 500,000 gallons of storage. At the Bogue, we had only a limited 250,000 gallon tank there. We have put in a new 1 million gallon tank and also a 500,000 gallon bladder tank. The 500,000 gallon bladder tank is in service, and the 1 million gallon tank is completed, but we're just now completing the pipe work for that. So, and similarly, at the naval base, we've done the same thing in terms of improving storage. But also at the naval base, we've worked with the desalination company to address the production capacity. So earlier, around mid to late last year, they brought in another desalination train at the naval base. And so you have seen some of the complaints that we were facing there in the past. Those have been addressed, but there's still some challenges. We recently got approval at our board level, and now we moved to cabinet to seek full approval for a new pumping station at the naval base to improve the robustness of that system in terms of pumping efficiency, electrical supply. So those works are ongoing. We also have, as you may know, in Eleuthera, we've had some power supply challenges, so we heavily depend on diesel generator as backup, and in many cases, providing power on a regular basis. But we've had some very productive dialogue and assistance from, and we want to say thank you to our sister utility, BPL. They've done a lot. We've had a lot of improvements at both the Bogue site and at the naval base over the last several weeks. And so we are seeing an improvement in the reliability of those systems, but there's still much work to be done in Eleuthera. And as the press would be aware, the corporation is, along with the government of the Bahamas, is in very high-level dialogue with the desalination company who runs essentially those 4 plants in Eleuthera. And hopefully, in short order, the government will make a further announcement as to what exactly the next steps are with respect to that.
I'm not trying to preempt those high discussions, but what has been the tone been like between government, the Waterstreet Corporation, and that company running the plant in Eleuthera? Given that we know previously 2 government ministers through a joint statement expressed concerns about how that company is running the affairs there.
Well, I think both sides are trying to ensure that we have a amicable tune, that we want to come to an early and amicable solution in the best interest of our customers across Eleuthera and wherever else they have plants. You may be aware that in addition to the 4 plants they have in Eleuthera, they also have a plant at Georgetown, Exuma. They have one at Cobantown, San Salvador, and they have another plant at Machutown, Inagua. And so we have very active ongoing discussions, and the idea is to keep a very positive tune and to bring it to a conclusion as early as possible in the best interest of our customers.
A follow-up question. You said the discussions with the IDB are toward a $100 million loan.
Well, the overall, what was signed was a $100 million conditional line of credit, and so that is in place. And so as part of that, we have executed on the first $50 million, and we have works outlined for that first $50 million. And the idea is that once those works are tendered and commenced and well underway, we will then follow up regarding the second $50 million. And just the principle being that, as we always say, it takes some work to spend money. And so, you have to put a lot of effort into it. And we also have limited capacity across the country with respect to contractors, technical personnel, et cetera. And so the goal is to get that first $50 million ongoing, get that started. And once we're well underway with that and we're pleased with the progress, then the government and the corporation will pursue the second $50 million.
And you spoke a lot about the ROI for your company, but in terms of customers, is there going to be an impact to them?
With respect to?
Increases.
Well, obviously, that would have an issue that would have to be addressed at the governmental level. The corporation continues to put forward our position, but that's a matter between us and the government, and any decision will have to be made by the government, and ultimately announcements will be made. But I think late last year, the Prime Minister made a statement with respect to that, and I think that statement was pretty clear to all of us.
Further questions?
Thank you. Let me say thank you very much. And of course, if you have any further questions or concerns or anything else you wish to know, we have members of our public affairs team here, and so we would welcome further speaking to you. And we're going to be, in short order, arranging 1 or 2 media trips to some islands where we have some works ongoing, Exuma, Cat Island, and Eleuthera. And so we'll keep you updated. Thank you again.
And just one follow-up question, logistics, in terms of a lot of those remote areas around the country, are there any challenges that still remain?
Well, you know, the Bahamas is an archipelago, and getting around the Bahamas can be a challenge, but it is our objective and our mandate to ensure that wherever Bahamians are, we get potable water to them. And so you have, if you travel, we have small communities such as Long Key, which is off Crooked Island. If you go there now, I understand the population may be less than 5, but we have a desalination plant there. You go to places like Raigad Island, you go to Long, Grand Key, Moores Island, as I mentioned. Even in Eleuthera, while we focus on the mainland, we have Current Island, you know, we have a smaller desalination plant there. And even on the southern tip of Eleuthera, you have the communities of Bannerman Town and John Millis that they're seeing some increase in population growth now because of the Disney project. And so the ongoing road paving project will also expand piped network to those communities. And so wherever Bahamians are, the goal is to ensure that they have pipe water supply. Same thing is going to be addressed and looked at with respect to the southern parts of Long Island, where you have some sparsely populated communities who are quite a distance apart, but they have to be addressed. I think we have upcoming projects also going to be looking at. You mentioned Acklands, but we also have some parts of Crooked Island. You know, we have a system in Crooked Island in the Colonel Hill area that supplies, I think, Colonel Hill and Cabbage Hill and Church Grove, but you have Landrill Point and a few other communities that's still without pipe water supply. And also, let's not forget Rumkey as well. So there's no lack of work, but we have the mandate and we're going to get it done. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deal. That was very comprehensive, answered every question, and thank you for the preview that further updates will follow. Thank you very much, and thank you, team from Water and Sewage. Are there any further questions?
Sorry, Carol Campbell Tribune. I was from the Tribune Newsroom. We were wondering if there could be a clarity. I know somebody from the boardroom, I think the Bahamas Grid Company, they revealed that I think the closing of that deal, there was like one outstanding matter, which I think they said was small, but we were wondering if there could be a clarity on what that matter is, and I guess when could we see a conclusion of the deal? And, you know, there have been pipe trucks seen around Bahamas, and seemingly they're stationed at one particular area, if there could be a clarity about that maybe too.
All right, that would be something we'd have to get updated on. Obviously, those talks are ongoing, very dynamic, a lot of moving parts associated with that deal. That is something that I would want to get specific information on for you, so I'll take that question and update you on it.
We didn't get to ask about public water pumps. Will they remain? What's the plan for them?
Yes, of course. The public water pumps are actually owned by the government of the Bahamas, and so the corporation supplies them with water. Wherever the government asks for a water standpipe to be built, the Ministry of Works will build a standpipe. They will make an application for a water connection, and we will provide it. We get constant feedback with respect to these standpipes, and so we have in regular dialogue with the Ministry of Public Works regarding maintenance of the standpipes, if they're damaged, if they're broken, etc. But that is part of government policy because you do know that while they are, the goal is to ensure that everyone has piped water supply into their homes, there are some Bahamians, for whatever reason, they may not have internal piping, and so they choose to or they have to obtain their potable water supply via the public standpipes. And so we work collaboratively and very closely with the Ministry of Works. It's a daily discussion regarding these standpipes and how best they are managed and maintained for the best interests of the public. And of course, that pertains also to the Family Islands, where these standpipes, I think, generally are managed between us and also local government on the islands.
The reason why I asked that question, it's a management-based question. You pass a lot of these pumps, and there seems to be a lot of wastage. Standing water, why is that?
Well, it is a maintenance issue, and like I said, it's something we work closely with the Ministry of Public Works on it. Our part is to ensure that the standpipe has a metered water supply, and if there's any leakage on the standpipe, particularly up to, before the meter, we'll ensure that the meter is repaired. But even if we see the water being wasted at the standpipe, our team will still go and fix it to try and ensure that the wastage stops, because it is, like I said, it is a public issue. It's also a public health issue, but it's an ongoing issue between us and the Ministry of Public Works to address them. I think in New Providence we have well over, probably I think close to about 250 standpipes spread across the island, and a lot of behemoths depend on them. Yes.
Ms. Adley, so a pending rocket landing, that's swirling headlines now, but that seems to be igniting some concerns about the potential impact on the environment, concerns about that possibly sparking wildfire, et cetera, et cetera. I think for many, that's igniting concerns, given that the Prime Minister himself is one who's a champion for climate change, right? Could you speak to that as to why the Davis administration seems to be moving forward with this? And we know that at the center of all of this is, I think, an aero engineer. The spotlight could very well be placed on her, but despite all of that, could you address the concerns?
Well, I haven't heard those concerns. Can you tell me where that may be?
From an environmentalist, that's Joe Darwell. Yeah,
Okay.
he's concerned. While he's not opposed to this, he says this could spark some concerns about the environment being at risk, etc.
Well, I haven't, like I said, I haven't personally heard those concerns or any broad outcry over that being an issue. It is, however, a plus for us in terms of publicity, as being the first country to accommodate something like this. And that's something that we intend to capitalize on, as you've heard from the Prime Minister and certainly from the tourism aspect of things.
Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it, I think, like a month or so ago, there was a SpaceX satellite, I think, that fell into waters not far from the Caribbean? I mean, is there another, I guess, concern of, there's another, seemingly satellite going to be, in our vicinity?
Well, I certainly wouldn't restrict that to the Bahamas. That could happen anywhere in the world, and it's not a concern that, we can restrict to the Bahamas in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. Any further questions?
Anything else on the ground, Kai?
Nothing new on that, Jose. We'll update you as soon as something breaks. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.